Propaganda during World War II had several different purposes, for which include the ability to mobilize and gain power for the battle, obtaining money from direct donations and such, and finally, in an effort to ignite nationalism within these countries and justify the war effort. When we hear the term wartime propaganda, our minds typically jump to the most obvious examples, such as during the Cold War and World War II. During this era, citizens were exposed to advertisements and television commercials that were often graphic, racist, frightening, and bizarre. Adolf Hitler was known to advocate for the use of propaganda to spread the ideals of National Socialism and his Nazi regime. Among the various forms of propaganda was the spread of anti-Semitism and racism.
The United States versus the Soviet Union was a critical point in not only U.S. history, but in foreign policy around the globe. The madness of this era can be shown in the types of advertisements and announcements, whether it be on the radio, television, or on the screen. There will be information regarding communism and the Soviets, as shown in the various advertisements. By engaging the public like this, it spreads the government's position in a way to attract citizen support for the administration and its decisions. Propaganda stands as a platform for nations
Studying
to push
how
their
propaganda
citizens.
affects our lives now, we have to get an understanding of this background in history that graphed our country into its modern form. In the last few decades, the United States has been involved in many battles and wars, specifically the Iraq War and now the war against the Middle East. President Bush, upon the announcement of 9/11, stated to our country that we will not tolerate terrorism in any form. This war against terror has been one of the most important and relative topics since this event, and is something that our country remains highly sensitive of. While we no longer produce advertisements of small children playing in the grass and then exploding, there are various examples of how propaganda involves our lives today and that still shed the same shock value. Al-Qaeda and ISIS have launched a tirade against the world, leading an extensive mobilization training system that is widely expanding each second. ISIS training videos have been shared throughout the internet in an attempt to not only gain followers, but to ignite fear in the hearts of Americans and other innocent countries. They have proved to be extremely successful at this tactic of spreading fear, and we are reminded daily of the horrific acts caused at the hands of radical war extremists who share these foods through propaganda. Propaganda serves as a platform for radical groups such as ISIS to gain followers and spread fear, but also serves as a template for how our society moves forward in time. Propaganda is not only for these groups, but remains widely popular in any political setting, including governments, political actors, and citizens. The current humanitarian crisis in Syria provides various examples of how propaganda serves to spread word in an effort to not only spread fear, but to spread the realities of war, even though it's not active on our home turf. There is often the consensus that citizens should be shielded and protected from the violence and gore that surrounds our world, yet some disagree that stating we are too sheltered. There is a common game of ignorance that many Americans play, often to pretend there isn't blood being shed and that the violence doesn't concern us. The essence of propaganda is that it is designed to manipulate individuals' beliefs and induce action in the interest of imprinting the message into the listener and viewer's heads. It involves the use of images, slogans, and symbols to play on prejudices and emotions. The ultimate goal of propaganda is to entice the recipient of the message to come to voluntarily accept the propagandist's position as if it was their own, created uniquely. Propaganda may be aimed at one's own people or at members of other groups, including those radical groups shown before, as well as political ideologies, cultures, religion, and many others. It can be designed to agitate the population or to mellow out the issue. We often think of propaganda as false information that is meant to reassure those who already believe in the cause. Believing what is false can create cognitive dissonance, which people are eager to eliminate. Therefore, propaganda is often directed at those who are already sympathetic to the message in order to help overcome this discomfort. In a time where most individuals feel insecure about their governments and controversial news seems to pop up every minute, it is critical for us to accept propaganda as how it was, how it is, and how we can spot it now. Fake news is seemingly going to continue to plague our telephones and internet for decades to come. And as educated citizens, we need to be aware of the various kinds of propaganda, as well as being able to decipher what is real and what is fake.